Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a Dish Tailgater Pro using a Dish Wally receiver. Let's get started. Start off by connecting your cable to the back of your tailgater or Playmaker. You'll sometimes see a second connection that is capped off. That is for an optional second receiver, but you just want to plug into the first connection that has no cover on it, no terminator on it. And you want to connect the cable to the back of the tailgater or Playmaker before you power up the receiver, the 211 or Wally receiver. That is very important. Connect the cable first. This cable should either be running straight to your satellite receiver or to your connection on the outside of your RV or trailer to connect to the internal wiring to the Wally or 211 receiver. So now that we've got our tailgater hooked up outside, I've come in and I've hooked up my Wally. I've hooked up the coaxial cable coming from the tailgater, the HDMI cable to the television, and of course the power cable going to the outlet. And now we're just waiting for it to start up here. Now, when the satellite receiver, whether the 211 or the Wally, starts up, if it sees the tailgater or Playmaker at the other end of the coaxial cable, if it is able to make contact with it and sees that it's connected when it starts up, it'll immediately bring you to a mobile antenna setup screen right there, asking you what state you're in. If you start up your Wally or 211 receiver and you do not see this screen, that means that the receiver is not seeing the tailgater. That means you either don't have it hooked up, or there is something wrong with the cable or the connection because it is not seeing it. You're going to want to check that out and reset your receiver by pulling the power cord out of the outlet, waiting 30 seconds, and plugging it back in and letting it restart again. And then hopefully it will see the tailgater then. So now that we are on the mobile antenna setup screen, I've picked Northern California previously, so that came up on the list. But wherever you are, you would click on that state list there, and you would have a whole selection of different states to pick there of wherever you're located. And then from there, I'm going to go to scan. And after we scan, the satellite receiver is going to make communication with the tailgater and start checking and seeing if it can see the three Dish Network satellites. So this test takes a couple of minutes, but there's nothing more for you to have to really do at this point. It's just a matter of kind of sitting and waiting for a minute while the tailgater and the satellite receiver do their job and bring everything in for you. Now, while this is happening, you may hear your tailgater or your Playmaker unit. You'll probably hear it making some noise. It's in there turning and trying to tune in these satellites. Okay, now we're at the acquiring satellite signal screen, and this can take 5 minutes or sometimes a little bit more to complete. Now we have TV. So if your receiver has been authorized, at this point you should be able to start going up through the channels, and you should be able to get any programming that's in your programming package. If your receiver has not been authorized, and also, when you change the channels with the tailgater, sometimes you will see an error message for a brief second. It's because the little dish inside the tailgater is actually turning itself from one satellite to another sometimes to give you the different channels that you were selecting. So sometimes there is just a little bit of delay there when you're flipping channels. See, right there, but then the channel pops in. See, as long as the channel pops in, then you are okay. If your receiver is new, you may see a screen like this after you pick the state and hit scan. This is normal. This is a new installation screen, and you'll have to go through the steps and potentially even let it download some software. But that is going to be the only difference between this screen and the previous screen I showed you, is that this screen is what you would see if you were using a brand new Wally for the first time. You're only wanting to pick up the 119, 110, and 129 satellite locations. So you're only going to be picking up those three. That's why there's a red X in the fourth position there on the screen. That is normal because in North America, in the US, you're only picking up the 119, 110, and 129 signal. So once you got everything going, if you are not receiving any of your channels in your program package, if you're receiving channel 103, which is the dish information channel, and a few other information channels, but you're not getting anything else, that means your receiver has not been authorized in a while, and you need to give Dish a phone call and simply have them authorize your receiver. They'll send a signal out that your receiver will receive to turn on all of the channels that are in your programming package. So if you get the system to come on after setting up your tailgater and you try to flip channels and you start to see messages that look like something like this: channel unavailable, restricted in your area, or just the channels not being there at all, that is an indication that your dish receiver has been unauthorized, simply probably because it has not been hooked up in a while, and you just need to give them a call. So that is just one little tip I wanted to share with everybody there on that.